Do you ever feel like your multiple passions are pulling you in every which direction? Today, we're diving into the overwhelm many multi-passionate entrepreneurs face in trying to juggle various roles and responsibilities. First, there's the chaos of constantly switching between creative projects. Then there's the mental bandwidth consumed by everyday tasks like meals, family management. And of course, there's the struggle to maintain and balance without burning out. Joining me today to unravel these challenges is Rebekah Scott, a personal designer, coach, and podcaster. Rebekah helps people create beautiful things, whether that's a flourishing business, a harmonious home life, or a standout accessory. Her journey from multi-passionate childhood to well-organized adult life is inspiring. In this episode, we will discuss her 5 key systems for managing life and work, providing actionable steps to harmonize your passion. Expect to hear about practical systems to regain control, reduce overwhelm, and truly boss your business while enjoying your life. And with that, welcome, Rebekah, to the Boss Your Business podcast. Do me a favor. Tell my audience, who are you, what do you do, and how did you get here?
Well, I hold several different roles and titles, but I've condensed it into one sentence that I think will be really helpful for your audience as we keep chatting here, is that I help people create beautiful things, whether that's a business, whether that's a home life that matters, or whether that's a really cool purse. I help people create beautiful things, which goes to say I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a purse designer, I'm a coach, I'm a podcaster, and I'm an author.
And now, guys, you know why I brought Rebekah on, because we are both multi-passionate, definitely, and we love creating things. Now, did little Rebekah always know she's going to do what she's doing today? Did you?
Well, I knew in some vicinity, and I mean, I think you probably know this as an entrepreneur too. You wonder if like you grow into it or if you've always had it. And my experience has been with the most passionate entrepreneurs or people that are always starting something new. They had it since they were little. Like they couldn't not have it. And so I was the one I was just begging her that I could sew next to her. And I would take a stapler and Kleenexes and just staple them together and pretend it was a sewing machine. Like that's how I wanted to create something. So then she got me my first sewing machine and I was 4. So I created it and then I want to sell my stuff on the playground. And then, as I grew older, I still kept making stuff for my twin sister. I'd make her wear it. And then I made stuff for our wedding. And then I would work, whatever job I was working, I would just look around and I was like, and I worked in radio at first and I thought, I think you guys need somebody to repaint your walls. Can I repaint your walls? So I did that. And they're like, it looks like you guys need a janitor. Can I be your janitor? Like I was always, not that being a janitor is that creative, but I was always thinking like multi-passionate, multi-role. How can I use these hours efficiently? How can I make more money at it? So that's been innate since I was itty bitty.
So you always had that entrepreneurial bone of seeing a need, doing something different, adjusting, and just going with it. So what does life look nowadays with all of those different titles, all of those different passions, all of those different things you do? How does life look nowadays?
It looks a little bit more organized because I just started dialing in. Like if I have 4 kiddos and we're married and we farm and ranch in South Dakota. So if I was going to have those, and none of those things I want to change, right? I want to stay married and I want to keep all these kids. You can't return them, it turns out. I want to keep helping my husband as much as I can, farming and ranching. I mean, I'm more like the kid sister on the farm where I'm begging to do stuff and they're like, whatever, but I'm trying. And so if I wanted to do that, then I needed to get really organized in my own passions. And so I started systems, actually. I started thinking, okay, so I want to take care of myself because I want to have a full charge to be able to keep enough energy for both my businesses and my family. And I had to figure out food because everybody kept asking what's for supper.
Oh, God. I don't
and
even
then
know
I had
how
to figure
answer
out
that for myself.
Well, you get really good at it because it takes up a lot of mental bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just even thinking for yourself, you're like, oh gosh, food takes up a lot of mental bandwidth. And I want all of my mental bandwidth for creative stuff. So anyways, I'm like, well, I need a food system. And then I need a home system. Like, well, how are we going to clean? And how are we going to do laundry for this many people? And then I started thinking, well, I need a work system because I'm really passionate about working. I love what I do. I love designing. I absolutely love it. I love podcasting. So I got to have some kind of system around that. And then I also have to have some kind of system around my family. Like, I don't want to just be that mom, if you will, I want to like instill things and be intentional about my parenting, that they would walk away and say, man, my mom really taught me these things. So those 5 pillars, if you will, really directed how I could get really well organized and help recognize when one of them felt really flat or broke, where I was like, okay, we cannot do another box of mac and cheese. Our food system is shot, you guys. Like we got to start over, right? But it helped me feel less overwhelmed, because when you read those roles and those titles, you're like, how does this woman do it? Well, I don't do all of them at once. That's not possible. But I do really zoom out a lot and go, okay, why is everybody misbehaving so bad? Is it our food system because we're feeding them crap? Or is it because I'm trying to squeeze too many things in between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m.? Like, what's really going on? Is it a family system or is it a food system thing? So that really helps me work on a system to get it up and rolling so I can fall into another one.
And one thing you also mentioned that has come up a lot lately in my community too is I'm like, I consider you a creative. You do so many things in so many different areas. And one thing I often run into initially, which I don't think I would run into with you anymore, is this idea of, as a creative, I don't want systems to box me in. And I love how you brought it up, where it's like, yeah, no, it's not a boxing in, it's a actually giving me freedom.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, it's kind of like the budget concept. You're like, I don't want to do a budget, I don't want to do a budget. But then if you've ever actually done one, you're like, when I know where the dollars are going, the ones that don't have a sign is where your freedom is. And so it's the same thing with your time and managing your roles. If you're like, I'm a creative, I can't be put in a box. Guys, that's me. I totally get it. But if I would have stayed on that path, I wouldn't have been able to scale or build the businesses, right? Or build a family for that matter. And so when I know each of my systems, which are particular to me and how I operate, then I can do really well. So when I do any of the podcasting or the coaching, I always remind the women, like, okay, I'll give you examples of how I'm doing this, but it has to be your food system. If you want to order food out every night, go for it. I don't care, but make the decision. So I'm helping you make the decisions and be like, decisive, which is one of the things that overwhelms us. But as far as like what you're going to do, that's on you. Well, I'll help guide you and I'll be like, you know what? It seems like you don't like your food system. Do you hate cooking? Yes. I'm like, okay, good. There's your confession. Let's figure out how to do it different.
And that's,
or,
that's such a big help. And then also in different areas where it's like, first of all, don't freaking guilt trip yourself into you have to cook. I'm a freaking single person. I love to cook, don't get me wrong, but if I don't have to feed anybody else, let's make sure it's not PB&J every single day now that I finally eat PB&J. That's a whole nother story. But it's like, it's fine to say, I don't want to cook all the time. Cool. Then I do pre-prepped meals from a local chef, or I go out, or whatever it is. But it allows us to make easy and fast decision. And it doesn't matter if it's just food, or if it's family, or if it's business, or if it's budget. Now we have data points. We have a certain amount of hours, and either way, does it bring my business forward or not? We are not in this overwhelming, and I think overwhelm is just an indecision. It's, I don't have the data points to make a clear decision because I don't have the system in place. So now my brain is just going in circles and what am I doing and how and where? And now I suddenly have to figure out, do I actually have the money to go out for dinner tonight? Or do I actually have the time to say yes to this offer? Or should I say no? It's simple. When you have your systems in place and you have budgeted your time and your money, you don't spend hours trying to figure the damn thing out.
No. Well, and you can think futuristically also, because you're like, so for example, our son, he's a very big football player. He was like, I'm supposed to gain 10, 15 pounds. Like, oh. So immediately I went, okay, that's a food system adjustment. So I didn't feel overwhelmed by it, because honestly, my first reaction was like, crap, like supplements, and like, do we visit with a dietitian? Because do you know how hard it is to make a 17-year-old try to gain weight? Like, especially as active as he is, it's about like trying to lose 100 pounds. So
I'm one of those metabolisms that is a blessing and a curse, where it's like, it's a trouble for me to gain weight. So I completely, I'm like, especially at that age too, where they burn even faster than any, holy cannoli, 15 pounds is, holy crap.
That's a lot. And I have three daughters too. So it was like, okay, well, if Gus's is an isolated food problem, let's think about our food system. So I just thought about what I would double bake or double cook in our protein field for him. And then I also used my habit tracker and just started like having him fill it out like, okay, here. So I maybe was overwhelmed for about 3 minutes of it, thinking about it. And then I was like, nope, this just belongs in the food system. We just need to isolate this. And as much as possible, asking your loved ones to get involved because it also doesn't land just on you, especially your
Yeah.
family system. So you can lean on your spouse or lean on your children, whatever the scenario might be. Again, your family system is going to look a lot different from the rest of us. You may say, like, you know what, I actually want to prioritize relationships with my parents or my siblings or friends that are my family. Like each one of us is going to look different, but when you can zoom out and look at them, you can make progress on the systems and feel way less chaotic.
And that's where it comes into. I don't like using the word boxing us in because it has such a negative connotation to it. It is more of setting boundaries. I'm like, there's this phrase out there, everything is going to take as much time as you give it. You are setting those boundaries, and now suddenly your brain is just free to go play. And one of the things that I also have experienced is you don't feel bad taking a Sunday off. Because guess what? You had your business system in place and you've done what you wanted to do.
Absolutely. And you know that one of your priorities is your family system. If that is it. Yeah. No. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad taking a nap on a Sunday if that's what it is. Because I've set up the other systems to be running.
So do me a favor for my audience, repeat your 5 key systems one more time, please.
Your me system. So asking yourself what gives me a full charge. Everybody will be different. Some people it's running, some people it's napping. Doesn't matter. What fills you up, what charges you. Your food system, answering the question, what's for supper? Your home system, answering how can you make your home a sanctuary, a safe place to land and a safe place to come home to. Your work system, answering the questions who, what, when, where, and why, like who's going to help you? Why are you doing it? When are you working? Nobody answers that one. When are you working? You're not going to do it in between nap times, okay? And then also your family system. What are the values that you want your family to have? So what is the legacy you're living? And what legacy do you want to leave behind? Do those two line up? Because sometimes you're like, this is a legacy I want to leave behind. But actually, are you doing the things today that will equal that legacy you're leaving behind? So matching those up.
And here's my question. Do you also give those 5 systems different rankings, for lack of better wording?
Well, like we said, so if you're feeling like super, super, super chaotic and you don't even know where to start, we do recommend with the me system. Start out figuring out how you get a full charge because chances are you're depleted. So let's just start with like one simple pamper night a week. And pamper is different for everybody. Again, it might be a run, it might be a bubble bath. But like we say to start with that one if they're like, I don't even know, all of them are broke. And then the second one we actually do say to prioritize is food. Food takes up a lot of mental bandwidth and it affects your other things depending on each one's unique needs. So we do like tackle your food. And sometimes tackling the food just takes an hour to decide, I give up, I'm just doing the ordered meals. Got it. Like, fine, we've made the decision.
There is that double edge, the double implementation of the food too. Because if you don't fuel your body, you're not going to have the energy to do anything else. And I'm one. It's like when my ADHD kicks in and I am so micro-focused on something, suddenly it's 4:00 in the afternoon and I haven't even eaten.
Yes.
So
Yep.
really
Yep.
giving it a time slot and giving it the priority to know, cool, early breakfast morning, I literally just started my banana pancakes again because I know it's easy, fast. I love it till I have overeaten
Yummy.
myself on them again. I get my protein in and I know I have energy for the day till even if I have a late lunch, I am not going to be like, oh my God, my brain doesn't work and I have cotton balls in my brain and nothing is working. So it has that double of planning it so you don't have to waste your brain power with it, but also fueling you so you have the energy to do the things you want to do.
Yes. All of the above. So those are 2 we say to start with. We actually do recommend doing your work system last because we want to do it first. Because we're like, ooh, I know how to do this part. So it's the who, what, when, where, and why. We say put that off into the end because these other ones, similar, I don't know how I would say it, but they have a sense of importance that when you do go to do your work system, which I'm imagining you're pretty good at, then you feel better pursuing it because you know you've made decisions for the other roles. And so that one we love, but we make you wait to get these established so that when you're in the work system, you don't feel guilty about the other ones.
And I think part of that is you seem to be really passionate about what we do. So we literally could do it 24/7.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm like, I have a personality where I'm like, I will forget about myself. I will forget to take care of myself and go get my massage and go have drinks with the girls or whatever it is. If I don't do my stuff first and schedule my stuff first and pay attention to me first, I'm going to get lost in this process simply because I love what I do. Again, I could do business 24/7. Is it good? No, because no matter how passionate about I am, no matter how well I might be eating, if I don't fuel my battery, I cannot show up 100% for my clients. So it has to be first because I'm so passionate about my business.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And that's okay too. And we give that permission too, because if I have someone that I'm coaching and they're like, I had a down year, I need to double my sales or I'm going to have to quit, then we do focus on the work system first because that's their position, their unique circumstance. And that again is just the beauty of the systems. Like each one is going to be different, but if you don't know which one to start with, then we have some suggestions. But they'll come to me and be like, my family's a mess and I'm sick of that. So we start with the family system.
How do you... Systems are great. We got the best plans. It's all mapped out. And then life happens.
Right? Yes. So we call that derailments. And this is very common, and this is like Murphy's Law, right? So I'm going to give an extreme example, but like let's say some kind of tragedy happens where you are now required to quit work, only focus on caretaking, whatever that might be. Well, now you take a look at your systems and be like, I just have to hire the food system. Somebody has to make the food at home while I care for this person. So then you knew like, okay, well, food is a thing that I need somebody else to take care of. Me, you're going to have to maintain that somehow. It just may look different now. It may be getting up a little bit earlier to take care of yourself. Your work system, make the necessary phone calls, necessary emails to pause that or whatever that looks like. Your family system, is that going to need to change? You need some extra help in there. What does that look like? And then your home system. Do you need to hire some help? Or if that's not an option, choose to just let it go. Let the home system go for a little bit because you have to concentrate on this new derailment. That's an extreme version. But again, a lot of them can be paused and should be paused while you concentrate on the current dilemma. But you get to pick them back up when things change again. You just pick them back up.
That's exactly the thing of having systems in place. Having been through exactly that case scenario, having taken care of my late husband's cancer treatment and all the things, it's like I was 2 years where in the beginning I was able to kind of take care of clients, but at some point it was like, guys, I am out of it. I can't, I don't have the brain power, I can't. And I wish I would have had as much systems and as much structure in place as I have now, because I lost myself for 2 years taking care of him, where I had to rebuild my business from the ground up. I'm like, it was a great pivot. It started what my business is now. But when you were in it, it's being able to fall back on knowing, great, my systems are there. I can pick up when I come back to it, and giving yourself the peace of mind and the permission. Life happens in seasons. There is no such thing as work-life balance. There's only balancing work and life. It's never gonna be an equal. Yeah, do we strive for equal? Yeah, but you're gonna beat yourself up if you expect it to be equal. It's seasons. Even though I live in San Diego, it's like, we have 2 seasons here. We have 2 seasons here. But it's like, it just as life happens in season, business happens in season, everything happens in seasons. And at some point, you might build something new, and your work system is going to have taken higher priority. And as Rebekah was talking about it, great, then you subsidize it? That's not the right word.
That might
You
be
get
right.
help with the other systems to just help manage. There's never going to be a full and equal balance.
No, and we try not to use the word balance, but we use the word harmonize because the notes are always going to be different. And so like maybe the work system is like three of the notes and the home system is just one of the notes. But if you harmonize the two work and home life together, it feels better in your head because we all know like what music looks like and what it sounds like when it's really working harmoniously together and how to change gears for like, what? This is not gonna, because the balance to me, I literally picture myself on a teeter-totter back in the day and I'm like, nope, it's not happening. Because like, no, it's not going to happen. So if you harmonize to get better luck.
I like that. I might just gonna have to borrow that from you because I'm the
Yeah,
same
go
as you.
ahead.
It's like I've never liked the word balancing because it's just it doesn't make sense because it's just not happening in life like this. Unfortunately,
No.
it just isn't that way. But again, it's like having those systems in place. It's easier to adjust accordingly based on
Yeah.
where things are and what has to happen and what you're figuring out on. And it also gets us to a point where it's not so much hustle, where it's not a constant
No,
rat race,
no.
where you know what's coming.
Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh, hustle is such a gross word. I mean, and it wasn't that long ago that that's all everybody talked about. And I'm so grateful somebody switched the gear to like, this is going to require no hustle because I don't have space for the hustle because I, like you, have some symptoms of ADHD. So my brain will go fast and addictive real fast. So I cannot have the fuel be hustle or everybody's in trouble.
And I think often the thing that also happens when somebody really is into this hustle, you are not taking the time to actually look at it where it's like you're just checking off boxes. Does that actually get you somewhere? Are you actually doing things that matter, or are you just doing things to do things?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful, especially when you're looking at your work system after you've done your other systems. You go, I didn't realize I was spending 70 hours. Like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all the things I just decided for my family, my home, and my food, and my work, and how to take care of myself, and do 70 hours? So then you look at your work and you go, what is the bare minimum I have to do to maintain my sales? So you start putting your effort towards the things that are the most profitable, and you start using automations, which I know you're a pro at. When you have looked at that and been like, okay, if I want to maintain these other beautiful roles and systems, I've got to relook at my work system.
And it gives us, I base a lot in values. So what I often do with clients is I do a value elicitation. I know one of mine high up is safety and is experiences, where it's like, what do I need to do in my business to accomplish that? Same with your 5 systems, where it's like you want to spend time with your family. So what can I do in the other areas, often in our business area, to cut down the time that I'm spending? Is my to-do list actually having an impact, or is it just an ego to-do list? Let's be honest, I have the ego.
Oh,
I love checking
right.
off things and feel like I got something done. But did it
Amen.
actually do something for our business?
Right.
Or was it really just an ego polish? Let's be honest,
Yeah,
right?
it's just a vain list. Yep.
And it's like, what you were just talking about automations is Rebekah is starting to experience my podcast automation because I love my guests
That's
and I want
amazing.
everybody to have all of the stuff. But do I really have to write the same email over and over and over and over again?
No.
No, I wrote it once, I tested it twice, and it's an automation, and I literally just click a button and it's done, saving me how much time now to actually focus, to connect with you, or to have my lunch in between podcast recordings. So
Yes.
between our 5 systems and our values and core beliefs, now we can look at things and be like, why am I doing this? I don't need to
Yes.
polish
Oh my
my
gosh.
ego just checking of things. Let's automate this, or let's hand this off and leave this we have to do it all perfectionism behind,
Right.
and just focus on the
Right.
things why we actually started a business, and that's to have a life.
Yes, yeah. It's interesting you say, that we have to do all the things. So we're doing our lifts and stuff. One of the permissions that I give all the time when I'm coaching is, what would 80% look like? Because we have this tendency to go, we're going to do the 100%, we're going to do, and it's not done until blah, 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 blah. And I think because of sheer burnout and experience with that, I was like, no, I'm just going to go for 80%. And it's interesting because it just relieves you right away just saying it. Like just saying it, your face is like, oh, yeah, what would it look like to do it at 80%? It's just a little nice permission to not do everything on that to-do list.
And it's like the 100% is our perception. Nobody other than us
fair.
knows what that 100% even looks like. So guys, leave it be. Put that weight aside. You don't have to carry it. 80% is 100% for everybody else.
Yes, so true. So true. The other percentage I always talk about is 1%. So when people hear all the roles that I'm doing, all the things, they're like, oh my gosh, I could never. I'm like, yes, you could. You could do it at 1%. And what would it be? And they have an immediate answer. It's like, oh, actually, if I did want to write that book, I would probably just write a paragraph a day. I'm like, okay, that's your 1% effort. And you not even 2 minutes ago said it would never happen. And you just gave me an answer.
Because
so what does 1% progress look like?
Because what it does is it gets us out of that perfection procrastination. You were thinking of the big picture.
Yes.
You were thinking about writing the book. So you're not even starting it. And you've been talking about writing this book for how many years now?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Put 5 minutes aside. Let's get this done. 1%. And you're just going to stack it up and suddenly the thing is happening. Guess what? You're not talking
it's interesting
about
when you try to recall. Yeah, like no more just talking about trying to do it or your dream. Because when we are in a position where we're like, hey, I've been doing this for 20 years. They're like, well, how did you start? I'm like 1%. All I could do when I was nursing a baby and doing chores was like, well, I could make one email about, hey, how did you start that? That was 1%.
Yep.
And the next day, just another 1%. So a lot of the things that people get overwhelmed by, I'm like, ask them. I bet it started like, the 20 years in versus 1 year in, total different, but it was probably done at the same pace, just different percentages.
With that, everybody that wants to start at 1%, connect with you, go get started on their 5 systems. Rebekah, tell everybody where can they find you, and I think you also have a ton of resources for them.
I do. We actually have 22 different resources on our website, similar to what we've been talking about here. But the funnest one for you guys, I want you to go to encourageyourpodcast.com. And if you sign up for our newsletter there, it will feed you an awesome resource that is 2 simple hacks for each system. So if you've heard the systems today and you're like, what would mine be? I give you 2 simple hacks for each one of them to start accelerating them. That's the best place to go to. So sign up there. And then you can take my digital course, which covers the 5 systems, or you can do coaching with me as well, because we are all unique and have all unique different stories and backgrounds of what we want to pursue. So I love pairing up with women and going, okay, let's pursue this.
Thank you so much for coming on. And as always, guys, all of the links and where you can connect with Rebekah right in the description. Don't forget to subscribe and follow for the next episode as we are talking about how you boss your business and build your business around your life, because that's why we started this thing. Thanks so much for joining me, Rebekah, and I see all of you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you so much.